All right, here we go. Overdrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN for Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
He was right. The chairs are glorious.
Glorious chairs.
Dude, I'm telling you.
They're phenomenal chairs.
Those are worth the 12-year wait, right?
No, not 12 years.
No, Noodles. Some things in life where it's just like, you think you really need it, but I'm telling you, that is worth the 12 years that we've been asking. Because what happened in that building before is, if there was a grubby chair that somebody spilled food all over and it ripped, or a leg didn't work, or the tire was all jacked up, guess where it went? It went to us at radio, and they said, guys, we got you a new chair here. This is one of the new ones. And you look at it, and it looked like someone had taken a baseball bat to it. And it's like, oh, I get it. I know what's going on.
That's what it did. They would cycle it through from Sports Center, and it would almost make its way right to the end of the pit. And then the next stop was either the dumpster or TSN radio.
Yeah, that's right.
It came here.
Yeah, they put in a certain amount of hours, the chair would retire, and they'd send it down here.
So I don't know what happened, but I think the new chairs, they're worth 12-year wait.
They are phenomenal chairs, man. I told you guys a couple weeks ago, I had to send a text. I just said,
like a nasty text?
No, it was
affecting his back health.
Yes, it was a formal request.
Okay.
That I didn't go through, I guess, the chain of command necessarily. It was a direct message, like it was a direct text.
Yeah.
I didn't bring in HR or anything like that. I didn't file something through the internal portal. But I just sent a text and said, we got to get chairs in here. My back is killing me. I can't sit on these chairs anymore.
Yeah.
Like, my posture's awful anyway. I know that. I move a lot, and I got bad posture. And especially with the mic, I want to be on top of the mic. I feel like it's important for me to be, on my game and on my toes. But this seat has given me a new lease on life.
Yeah, you feel
with my back.
You feel good about it.
I feel good about the chairs, and I feel good about being in here. We got the Hall of Fame tonight.
I know.
Right? The Hall of Fame will be buzzing, and
Duthie will be on fire.
This is Duthie's big night. Like, this is where Duthie really brings out his A material.
Yeah, he does, because he does Super Bowl, he does Masters and that. But this is like front and center, and it's him talking.
It's his show.
It's James Duthie.
Yeah.
And the Hall of Fame.
Like, the Hall is in the background.
Yes.
And Duthie's, really leading the charge. Yep. So Duthie will be on fire tonight, and it was a cool scene on Friday. Cool scene really in Toronto all weekend, especially if you're a Leaf fan.
Yeah.
And, we talked about it extensively this time last week, saying that they have 4 home games coming up, all within the division.
Yep.
And they're 3-0, all in regulation so far. And you got Ottawa here tomorrow. So pretty good. I mean, pretty good. Credit to the Leafs because, you beat Boston, you beat Detroit, you beat the Habs. Again, all in regulation. You don't give up any points. And all of a sudden you look at the standings and looks pretty good.
Press a little separation.
Said to Duthie, I said to Duthie in the pregame show on Friday, you got these games coming up, and it would be nice to wake up on Wednesday morning. It's just ideal. It's not mandatory, but it would be nice to wake up Wednesday morning being 10-5, because then you kind of just get away from that 7-6, like a couple games over at 500, maybe one game. You're just kind of getting away from that. And if they win tomorrow night, that's exactly what they'll be. They'll be 10-5.
Yeah,
that means you're kind of trucking and you're on the right direction.
Absolutely. If you're 10-5-2, that's a really good record.
Yeah,
a lot
really better than you were a week ago. Like,
literally a week ago, you were in a different spot.
And that's the only thing negative that came out of the weekend is, unfortunately, Pacioretty injury. Because he was talking before the game. He looked good. Like, he had big hit to start the game. And I don't know. That didn't look good. Like that. I'm not a doctor or whatever, but that just.
Well, they're saying week to week he's going to be out for a while. He will return. It's not season ending. It wasn't his Achilles. It looks like a hamstring.
I think he blew a hamstring.
Yeah, it looked like he blew his hammy out.
I know, but not to be negative, guys, but like when you watch that, as good as he's been playing and he's been a fit and he kind of found a spot, when that happened, maybe it was just me. I just watched that and I was like, I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's not surprising that he's going to miss a lot of games. Unfortunately, that was the truth. I think if you got 50 games out of him, you thought that was a win.
But so I might be I guess I am on the other side of the spectrum. Sometimes when things come together for a guy, I thought this was just going to be one of these, like,
Noodles, me too.
Resurgence.
Reclamation project.
Well,
It's been too long,
man. I was excited
he hasn't been healthy
for
in like 5 years.
I understand that, and you can I'm in the minority when it comes to this because a lot of people I talk to is like it's only a matter of time. Where I was the other way, I was like, maybe this guy's just going to have a magical season, and it kind of just.
I mean, that would have been great.
It was looking great.
Everyone was rooting for that.
Great.
It's not. You don't want to be in a position where you think this is
I'm
going to happen.
I'm right.
Exactly.
And by the way, Noodles, I did not say to myself it was only a matter of time. I said to myself, I'm kind of not surprised that happened.
Right, which is
that's all I
Brian's
said.
saying.
That's all I said.
Thing. You're not cheering, going, "I knew this was going to happen."
It's not a take that you want played on Sports Center at the end of the week. Hey, Hayes hammered that, or got that one right.
No, I for some reason, he just looked healthy, was skating really well, was, kind of found his role, found some chemistry in that. And it was gone in my mind. That's what it was. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, man.
It sucks for him because they really did give him a good opportunity. He was playing big minutes with good players.
And he seized it.
And he was seizing the opportunity.
It wasn't, they didn't force feed this guy and he looked like an old man out there and they're like, okay, let's put him out to pasture and finally he gets hurt. We can move on from him. It was the exact opposite for me where it's like, this guy looks reinvigorated. He looks like he's found some chemistry with Tavares. It looked like, to me, there just was some things where he checked all the boxes and then he gets hurt and you're like, God, it just, I just hurt, my heart hurt for him.
I feel for
That's
the guy.
what it was.
I feel for him too, and now it's going to be a difficult uphill battle because someone's going to step into your spot now.
There's opportunity.
And if they're rocking, guess what? That opportunity may not be available anymore. And I think the Leafs are probably going to be in a position where they're going to be uncertain, how much he's going to be available in the future. And who knows how long week to week is. Is that 5 weeks, 6 weeks, or is that going to be 3 months? And if it's 3 months, then you're looking at the trade deadline and can he find his legs again and all of that uncertainty. And now Calle Jarnkrok, who we haven't seen all year, I guess they said he had a setback over the weekend. I'm not sure what he was doing. But
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. Like the Robert Island stuff starts going off.
I don't even know where that guy is right now.
I'm not sure either. He was playing preseason games. Like, this is what the Calle Jarnkrok story is, a wild one. He played multiple preseason games, and then all of a sudden he's on the long-term IR. Like, it was a weird transaction where this guy's buzzing around in a preseason game.
There has been a few, like, where you kind of, like, head scratchers. Like, Yanni Hakanpää, July 1st, signs a 2-year deal. And then, like, it's like, well, it's only a 1-year deal. And we're not, like, all of a sudden he's here, but he's not here. And now he's close.
He's back with the big club, and Connor Dewar has been activated. It sounds like he'll likely play tomorrow. And Matthews is not going to play tomorrow. He's not going to play Wednesday either. Like, I wish they'd just say it. He's not on the ice today. He's not playing. And they dance around whatever's going on with the guy, and they're allowed to do that because the league allows them to do it.
But
there's no obligation to give any answers on anything. But
another thing, sorry to interrupt, but like that's, in my mind, it's like, okay, he tweaked something or whatever. It's a week. They backdated it a week. He's going to play against Ottawa. Like, in my mind, I was like, he's playing tomorrow.
But he's not playing.
And he's not playing.
And then he's not going to play Wednesday in Washington if he doesn't play tomorrow.
So hopefully it's the weekend then, I guess.
But it's funny how they play without him. Like, I thought the 3 games without him, they played incredibly sound hockey. Strong, sound hockey. And I think Marner, for whatever reason, looks better when he's not playing with Matthews. And I don't know if it's a mental block, if it's something that he forces, if it's something that makes him feel uncomfortable that there's another guy on this line taking up the energy or the oxygen of the line or what have you. But like, because we talk about it in hockey, like line drivers. Who's capable of being a line driver? Nylander clearly is, Matthews clearly is, and Marner is. Marner does it in a different way because it's not powerful. Right. It's not overpowering the opponent with skating, with physicality, with goal scoring, but it's with savviness, it's with smarts, it's with just reading the play. And I think I thought he's brilliant in all 3 games, last week.
I wanted your take
and all 3 of them without Auston Matthews.
On the header in the neutral zone.
I hate it.
So unnecessary. But it's
I started laughing because I'm like, this is how it goes in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's just world beater. It's like, I feel amazing. I'm going to get ahead. I'm going to kick this one.
I can't believe you picked that out because I saw that.
He did it twice.
I thought his head was going to explode.
He did it twice. I had a tweet lined up, and I said, I'm not doing it. I'm having a nice weekend.
He's playing so well, and let him feel it.
He's playing outstanding.
Let him feel it. But all my mind went to Bryan Hayes' head is going to explode because he's going to say, that stuff is not available to you in the playoffs, so knock it off in the regular season.
But it's not available anytime. Like, it's not like
it's not
weird
like play, man.
Yeah, it's not like any time it's like he's headbutted it to a guy on a break. It's just like that's the only thing I hated. Like, I don't want to talk about it down because he was so good all the games.
Exactly.
And you're right. Like, it's almost like he becomes the spotlight player, and he's magic out there. But the headbutt plays, I hate them, and I just want them to go away.
It comes with magic. That's, I guess, you just said the word. So if he's feeling it, stuff like that is going to, it's going to come out organically. It's like,
I know, but Noodles, do you remember in Florida against the Florida Panthers when him and Auston Matthews started playing hacky sack just inside their blue line and then ended up in the back of their net?
I understand that. Like
that's just like it's just never a part of the NHL. Like what?
it's just such an unnecessary. He did it twice. He did it in the neutral zone too.
But here's the thing: when you're having a game,
it's also the
opponents.
I will say
Montreal was red rotten.
They're horrendous, Noodles. I know we see them differently, and they won today. That team defensively is so awful, and they're so soft. That's him trolling them on Saturday night.
But you're right. Montreal played terrible. The Leafs played great.
Played well.
But the one thing I noticed and. Like, I still think Montreal get 80 points, something with an 8 in it. But it's not a playoff team. It's not a playoff team. Well, based on that night, I thought they were horrendous that night.
I think they were horrendous against Jersey.
You know who the problem is? It's their forwards. It's not their D. Everyone's like, oh, young D in that. You look at the goals that the Leafs were able to score. That's Josh Anderson, a veteran, doing a drive-by on Timmins.
Mm-hmm.
What's a Doc falling down and just going north when it goes. Like, these are veteran guys that, Suzuki on Marner's goal. Like, he blows by him and then stops back and goes, oh, realize that's my guy. Mm-hmm. These are veteran players. That's not on, that's not
Caden
on
Goalie
and like these. That's not on
Lane
young
Hudson
defensemen
or something.
These are veteran players. And I'm going to go a step further. I think at some point they're going to go, the coach has to drop, like the coaching. Like,
it's a serious problem when you defend that way.
The details of their game stink.
Yes.
So who does that come back to? Systematic play and the guys above.
But that's the question. That's the heat that's on Marty St. Louis.
Well, you mentioned it at the start of the year.
You've got to put a framework together. It's not, it's not that you're expected to win, and extra points would be great. And
it can't look like a
But
gong
it can't
show.
Look like that. And you look at multiple goals, and yes, the Nylander goal was brilliant, and it was on the penalty. It was on the power play.
Yeah, but
it's different. But on the Thursday night, their previous game in Jersey, Jack Hughes cuts through their offensive zone, or they're playing defense. He cuts through the Habs zone in a way that looked like a beer league. It was pathetic. It was brilliant by Hughes because Hughes is so smart and cerebral, and he's got the stones to make that play. But if you go back and look at the way the Habs defended on that goal, it's pathetic. And the same thing with the Willie goal, where, again, they're killing a penalty, but he barely takes a stride, Willie.
Dude, look at this.
He cuts
this is summer hockey.
That is an awful defensive system.
Okay, so I
it's a brilliant play by Willie.
Play by him, but okay.
Stick check.
I know this is an old school. No chop on the arm for him.
Nothing.
No chop on the wrist. No chop on the leg. Like, if you're going to allow a guy to walk like that, he better have a limp after he scores. But it's like, no, nothing. Go ahead.
That's what my concern would be in Montreal, is that you're cultivating talent. You've got young players. You're going to have a tough go. But you've got to install some sort of defensive awareness and toughness as a team.
Systematic play where it's like,
you can build on that when you turn a corner.
If you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us because your team is more skilled or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're going to lose 3-2 because we're going to keep it tight. Like, that wasn't a 4-1 game the other night. Like, Montreal had a slight push in the third period when the Leafs are like, okay, whatever. But it was, to me, like, I felt bad for the goaltender. Like, in my mind, I kept thinking, there's zero chance that he's going to play on Team Canada because his stats are going to stink a month from now.
Yeah, Montembeau, his numbers are so inflated because of the defensive.
What about the kid that number 20, Slavkovsky, got the contract? I honestly didn't think he was playing until I saw number 20 in the third period go by the front of the net.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, there he is. Well, I didn't know he was playing.
Nyes buried him at one point.
We watched, you're right. You watch the New Jersey game. If you watch them more, you can start to pick apart, some of the things that you think they could fix. And the one thing that comes back to it, regardless of roster construction, you can fix the way you play. And that's what comes back to systematically. There are teams that aren't as good as other teams in the league, but you can give them a run for your money that night if you play tight and make every inch of ice contested. Mm-hmm. It's not, hey, let's put our gear on and try and play the same way the team on the other side can play. That's not what's going to fly. And to me,
they don't contest squat is what they do.
Exactly. And something has to change there. I didn't watch their game today, but it sounds like it was a gong show.
Well, on both sides. They beat Buffalo 7-5. There was a combined 41 shots, and they scored 12 goals.
So it wasn't the goalie's night.
No, they both got played. I think there were 4 goalies that played today. You don't see that very
That's
often.
That's tough. I've been involved in a few of those where it's like, okay, you're out. It's embarrassing.
You don't see that often when the 4-pack goes in.
No, but I will say, I think, on this homestand for the Leafs, bookended, you had Boston, and I think Ottawa is tougher than Detroit, and I think Boston was very tough, and I think Ottawa is tough.
It's better than those two teams,
right?
Yeah, I mean, you were in the building on Friday. Oh, and in Detroit, they've been given very good goaltending this year.
Very good, all 3 of them.
Yeah, and the rest of the team just doesn't make any sense to me. And this is what is scary if you're the Habs, if you're teams that, and Montreal's been doing this for a few years. And again, no one expected Montreal to be a playoff team this year. It's about growing and, again, cultivating the talent and building upon a system and trying to put forth some sort of a culture there that you believe is a building block for winning in the future. But when you get in this perpetual state of just spinning your wheels, that looks like where Detroit is. And Detroit had a taste of it last year. They were in a playoff spot in late March.
Right till the end.
They were right there, and the wheels fell off. And now this year, they have no offensive ability. It's weird because, they bring Kane back. They brought in Tarasenko. They signed Tarasenko. Raymond had a good year. Larkin's been healthy, and they don't score. And they didn't look like they were ever in a position where they were going to threaten offense.
It's 50-50, Hayes. It's like they're sitting on the fence and it can go one way or the other. But when you're looking at it, and it was probably the same as last year looking at the Red Wings, they've got to be saying, these guys aren't like 19-year-old kids anymore. Dylan Larkin's been around for a long time.
Yes.
Dylan Larkin played with Pavel Datsyuk. He's been around for a long time. So when exactly is he going to make the jump? And the other guys like Seider and Raymond, when are they going to make the jump to be good enough? Same as the guys in Montreal. When are you going to actually take a step where you're good enough that we're not in this position? That's the big question. Because it seems to be year after year we've been doing this, and you look at the standings in the Atlantic Division, and they don't get much different than that.
Well,
and the scary thing is I don't even think the teams at the top have played their best hockey.
No, I mean, we talk about it on a weekly basis. Florida, Toronto's in a pretty good spot. Boston's still not in a good spot. Jim Montgomery is getting peppered down there. He's getting peppered with questions, and he has no answers. Literally, he said that after the game the other day. I don't know, on multiple questions of why.
Okay, and that's as bad. Okay, Hayes, go back to the standings. If that's as bad as it gets for the Bruins, they're still where they are.
That's
what does that say for the other team?
That's what's scary for the other teams, including the one in here tomorrow night in Ottawa, who they won in overtime the other night. They picked up points. They're 7-7. Yep. That's not going to cut it. You can't be 41-41 and think you're getting in. I mean, they have to grow and build and build and. Noodles, you see them up close and personal. What I've seen is that they expect and they need more out of their best players.
Yeah.
Stutzler's off to a good offensive start, but they need more out of their big boys.
Well, they need the effort they had against Boston the other night. If you look at the stat line, Brady Tkachuk had 12 shots on goal. He was an animal. That's what you need nightly. And you may not have those shots or the point production, but you need that consistency. That's the one thing I've noticed from Ottawa. Is there's been, real good play, and then there's been this pockets of hey, we give up 2 goals in 15 seconds. Hey, we give up
That's what happened Saturday against Boston.
I think we're running a board of that tomorrow in our broadcast. They've had 4 or 5 games where it's like 2 goals in 16 seconds, 2 goals in 21, where the game just falls apart with them within the game, and then they got to fight to get it back.
See, that's what's scary, because that was their history last year. Remember, when Martin came in and they were in situations where it was like, all right, they're here tonight. A pretty good start up 2-1. Then you're like, wow, they lost 4-2. What the hell just happened? There was 10 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
And they just collapsed. And Travis Green will join us in 10 minutes. So we'll ask Travis about that. I mean, how much of the past, even though he wasn't a part of it, do you have to continue to address? Staying on the gas.
Yeah.
It's important. You got to do it. And, it'll be a fun one tomorrow night because, again, whenever Ottawa plays the Leafs, they play well. They step up for the game. Matthews isn't going to play. Pacioretty's out. We'll see what comes of it. I haven't seen who's starting tomorrow night, but I would assume Stolarz gets the start tomorrow and Wall gets Wednesday in Washington, I would think.
Probably. I would.
Why not just continue to do what you did on the weekend?
And it's a lot of games lumped up.
They both played well, and Stolarz played really well on Friday night.
I thought Stolarz, well, listen, your only competition is the team you play against. I thought Stolarz played really strong. I thought Wall was good. He didn't have to.
He didn't get tested a ton.
But I thought Stolarz made a couple good saves, when he had to, and he looked very comfortable. And
have you ever seen a guy lose his glove and pick the puck up like he did on Friday?
I think he dropped it on purpose and grabbed it.
He dropped his
blocker and grabbed it.
That's dangerous with skates around and stuff.
Finger skated over, but he reached in and grabbed it. You know what you know who his doppelganger is? The Grappler.
The Grappler.
Doesn't he look exactly like Keith Bauer?
Like the Grappler? I was watching his postgame on Friday. I'm like, this guy is the Grappler.
It's Keith Bauer standing there with a mask on.
And that's him grappling with the puck in the crease on Friday night.
Exactly.
Like that.
Grappler.
He is the Grappler. Get a picture of the Grappler and do a doppelganger shot.
Keith Bauer and Anthony
It's
Stolarz.
amazing you said that because on Friday the light went off. I'm like, the Grappler plays for the Leafs.
I've been saying, I met him face to face in the finals.
Yeah.
And he's a monster. Well, the Grappler
is a massive human being.
And I'm like, this guy is Anthony Stolarz' doppelganger. It couldn't be, they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a bunch of twins around here. Al's
brother, JP.
Yeah,
Doogie. Although I don't know if we have a Doogie doppelganger. We got to figure that out.
You guys just planted a seed in the Grappler's head that could be dangerous. He'll be calling up golf courses. Hey, Anthony Stolarz here. You got a tee time at 2:00.
That's right.
He'll be wearing a Leafs golf shirt and be Stolarz for the rest of his life.
He might be able to pull it off. He'd do an autograph signing at Jack Astor's.
Autograph signings at Home Depot with the Grappler.
What a great story that would be for us. If that broke loose, like someone from the Toronto Star reported.
Yeah.
That there's someone
impersonating. Somebody from our building went into just a Brantford Home Depot and the Grappler was posing as Stolarz signing autos. I would
love that.
It
would be a great controversy for us.
Yeah,
we would benefit greatly.
It
would be awful for him, but it would be great for the promotion of our show.
I once had a guy impersonating me at Cowboys in Calgary.
He pretended
to be me, and we happened to go in there late. We got back off a road trip, and I was standing there. And the bartender who knew me goes, "There's a guy over there that says he's Jamie McLennan." I go, "Send him a drink."
That's great.
Send him a drink. I waved to him. He was so rattled. So rattled.
But what was he doing? Was he telling hot babes that he was?
I think he was trying to work the scenes that way.
This is pre-internet probably too.
Pre-internet,
you could get away with that.
YouTube, all of that type of stuff. And I sent him a drink.
That's bold. Good for him. He gave it a shot.
Yeah, but it is a bit
false pretenses, but.
But what if that guy does something stupid and then?
Well, that's where it burns you exactly.
Right.
I mean, you'd like to think. There's the Grappler Stolarz. That was our in-studio breakdown with Stolarz right when he signed with the Leafs. We could literally be interviewing Stolarz, and we're on in bars all over the country on mute. People would be like, "Hey, Stolarz is in with the OverDrive guys."
Yeah.
We could just plant the Grappler here and tell him not to say anything, and people will think Stolarz is in studio.
In studio. I mean,
just give him a Leafs golf shirt and just this guy's going to make millions.
He's calling St. George's tomorrow. So do you have any tea times available in the spring?
No, I want to be a member. He'll be a member at St. George's.
Now, Stolarz would never wear that tablecloth that the Grappler is wearing.
That's probably
outside
true.
of that. It's the same face. They're the same size. They're both 6'6".
Yeah, that Grappler is Stolarz.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going to try to be a member. He'll call St. G's. He'll call the Nash. He'll call Weston. He'll call everywhere. He's going to call everywhere.
Gregor's
Anthony Stolarz here. I've got a group, and they're going to see a group of Muppets walk out to the first tee, and they're like, Stolarz is just with some goons right now.
Al's brother will be there.
Al's brother, Doogie and JP. Being off 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning at the best golf course in the country. The guy will be at Cabot next summer.
I love it.
Hey, I'm flying in with a couple of the guys. Think you can set us up? We'd love to. Anthony Stolarz.
Not the best.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, Travis Green coming up. The Ottawa Senators in town tomorrow night. We got a Monday nighter tonight. Al's brother will join us. Nice enough to leave the Card Depot where he was on Friday, so he couldn't join the show on Friday. So I had to do all the picks by myself. I couldn't get.
How did it go?
Oh, we had a phenomenal weekend.
Well, there was some language in the text. I couldn't figure out what was going on there, who was winning.
We're in a very good place.
But I think, isn't Owen Wilson in there? They're still up
they're still
+3.
+2. They're +2 after last night.
All that matters. You
are on still the pace car. We got a game tonight, Rams-Dolphins. Last time I checked, still 2.5. I think the Rams laying 2.5 at home against Miami. Hazenbro on the clock with that pick. So Al's brother will join us in the next hour. Luke's coming in at 5. There's a lot to get into from yesterday, as there always is. That game last night was a crazy game. I find that very embarrassing for Houston. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, and you lost the game at home.
Oh, yeah.
You know how embarrassing that is?
Yeah.
Like that's awful. And to the credit of the Lions, they really manned up in the second half. They battled defensively. They were outstanding. But to be in a position like that where you lose a game on a 52-yard field goal after Jerry Goff did everything he could to hand you that game last night.
I got one worse. The Broncos. Are you
it's sickening,
absolutely jamming me up? The Broncos?
Yeah.
There was
a blocked field goal against a divisional rival that's 8-0 in the season, and you do it in their building. That's sick. Credit the Chiefs,
but
though.
that's how it's going for them.
And
everything
credit Kansas City
wins.
because it's a great play. They blocked the field goal, and that's not a chip shot, but it's not far off a chip shot. And that's crushing for Denver because they're in a playoff hunt, and that cost them significantly. So that more still to come. Luke coming up just after 5. CJ will join us today. Rod Smith coming up. The Argos are on their way back to the Grey Cup.
Yes.
Sucks for Chad Kelly what happened, too. Yeah. But Nick Arbuckle stepped in the fourth quarter, looked pretty good, and he'll start for the Argos this weekend out in BC at the Grey Cup. So Rod the Bod was calling that game, and he'll join us in a couple of hours. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Luke Wilson, Al's brother, coming up in about a half an hour. Something to chew on brought to you by Boston Pizza later this afternoon as well. Leafs back in action tomorrow night. Ottawa in town coming off a good weekend. Leafs got past the Habs on Saturday, the Red Wings on Friday. They're playing all these teams within the division. And Ottawa 7-7. They win in overtime in Boston on Saturday night. And this is always going to be a fun game.
Yeah, the Battle of Ontario.
Battle of Ontario.
Didn't Travis Green try and jump into the bench of the Ottawa Senators?
He went over and provoked. He was pointing at someone, and then Tucker was the one that jumped into the bench.
Oh, was it? I don't remember. I feel like
Tuck's got suspended for a while for that one.
Really?
Pretty sure he got like 5 games. I think you kind of have to suspend the guy.
That would be 20 games nowadays.
Yeah.
Because back then,
I don't know what Greeny was doing, though. He was pointing at someone.
Somebody
he had
probably
a problem
hit him
with somebody
from behind. There was a lot of greasiness going on back then.
Yeah, there was. All right, here he is, the head coach of the Ottawa Senators, Travis Green. Do you remember why you provoked the situation you provoked at the bench, Greeny? What happened there?
Honestly, I don't remember the whole thing. I think it was something to do with me and Chris Neal, to be honest, and now I see Nealer every day in the office. So, we haven't fully got into exactly what happened, but we've put that behind us for sure.
Yeah, well, I hope so. It's been like 20 years.
Yeah, you can probably bury the hatchet now.
Probably a good idea. These are fun. I mean, obviously, we know your track record here, Leaf alum, and now you're coaching the Ottawa Senators, and this will be your first time doing this during the regular season. What are you anticipating tomorrow night?
Yeah, we actually talked about it today in the media session a little bit, the Battle of Ontario. I think it's been heated over the course of time. I think rivalries are built through playoff hockey. But obviously when you have two teams in the same province, there's a bit of a rivalry there regardless. And it's always an emotional game whenever you get Ottawa and Toronto playing against each other, and hoping it is tomorrow night as well.
Greeny, what did you like about your team's game in Boston the other night?
A lot. Pretty well everything. Anytime you go into Boston, which is a tough building to play and play the type of game we did on the road. I didn't like that we gave up 2 quick goals, but I liked that we stayed the course and won the game. Probably deserved to win in regulation, but we stuck with it and won it in overtime.
Greeny, what's the biggest message? We were just talking about the Atlantic Division and how the last several years it seemed like the same teams are kind of near the bottom, and you obviously want that to change. Like, other than guys stepping up and playing better, which obviously has to happen, or maybe that's the only thing that needs to happen, is because what's gone on in the past, guys haven't played good enough. Like, what is the overall message where they can kind of stay calm, play their game, but they have to do something to get better results?
Yeah, we talked a lot to our group about process driven, and the margin for error, the margin in the NHL, I think it's as close as it's ever been as far as winning and losing. And the teams that understand their game understand how their team has to play in order to play their best, and then continue to do it consistently are the teams that are going to win over the long haul. And I think teams that have been in the playoffs for a while truly understand their identity, and they truly understand how their team needs to play to get to that identity, and that's something that we're striving for.
With Travis Green ahead of the game tomorrow night, Leafs Ottawa here in Toronto, and we were talking about some of the lapses that have happened to your team in the past, where 30 seconds later, all of a sudden, you've blown a lead. And, it's happened a couple of times this year. I think it happened in Boston, and you guys redeemed yourself over the weekend. And I'm curious, Travis, how you address or approach, some of the issues that have flared up in the past prior to you being here. Like, do you address them? Do you say bygones will be bygones, we're moving on, we're looking forward? How does a new coach attack some of the issues that have plagued this team in the past that might pop up at times this year now that you are coaching the team?
Well, first of all, we're a lot of those things that we thought after studying our team and watching our team that we've felt that they needed to improve in. We started addressing those type of things probably right away when we had our staff together and talking to players over the course of the summer, over training camp. Obviously, there's going to be different areas of your game that you've got to patch up during the season, and I think that's a little bit different, but also not overanalyzing certain things. I think we've had a couple games where we've let some quick goals and that just have happened, which does happen in the NHL. There's also been a couple games where we've let in a couple goals that maybe mentally we've let our guard down and we didn't perform a simple detail that you do on a face-off in your sleep and kind of fall asleep at the wheel a little bit, and all of a sudden the puck's in the back of your net, and those are the ones that probably drive you crazy as a coach the most, and that sometimes happen with younger teams that don't understand the importance of every shift, every detail. And again, I go back to the margin of error is so razor thin in the league that a lot of those details add up.
Greeny, you recently got Artem Zub back. It looks like you're going to get Shane Pinto back. How does that just help your overall group?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Zub's a real good defender. Has played well with Sandy over the last while here in Ottawa, and missing him was a big hole for any team that loses a guy out of their top four. But I do like the way the rest of our group played without him, and now that he's played a couple games, you can see from game 1 to game 2, he was much better in game 2. Expect his game to just continue to project upwards, and it'd be good to have Pintz back. He's missed. Funny how a guy misses a couple of weeks, and he misses 8 games all of a sudden, and it turns into more than you think, and it's unfortunate, but. It's good to have him back, and now he's got to get his legs under him and get it back up and running. He's a big part of our group.
You obviously have history with really, high-end, talented young defensemen from your time in Vancouver with Quinn Hughes, and now you got Jake Sanderson in Ottawa. You see any similarities in their game and your approach to trying to build him up, Sanderson, to hopefully get to a point where he's playing the way we see Quinn Hughes play on a nightly basis.
Yeah, I think both super high-end defensemen, young defensemen, a little bit different as far as the style of play. Obviously, Sandy's bigger. Probably came into the league a little more conscientious. I'll try to spit that out. But both elite talents, and I think the one thing about both of them that I really like is they're both really committed to being the best version of themselves they can be. They don't want to settle for just being good. They want to be great. And I think when you've got young players like that, sometimes you just got to let them go a little bit because they understand when they play well and they understand when they're not. And they a lot of times the young stars like that, they kind of learn the game on their own just from playing in the league for a while. And I think Sandy's just going to get better as he makes some mistakes and has success, and he's going to learn kind of what he can do at certain times of the game and what he can't do, because some of these young good players, they can do a lot, and sometimes they overcook it a little bit, and you got to let them kind of make those mistakes and learn from it. But he's a real good defender for a guy at a young age. He's good offensively, and I think he's just scratching the surface.
Greeny, you played a couple of years with JR. I mean, we don't see a lot of those big personalities in the game, or if they are big personalities, they kind of keep them on the vanilla side because of social media and stuff. What do you make of your time with JR and how big, obviously him going into the Hall, I think it's well-deserved and maybe, overdue, but any memories of JR?
Oh, lots. I had the pleasure of playing with him for a couple of years. We actually roomed together on the road. Became a good friend. I'm going to walk over and hopefully see him tonight as he goes into the Hall. And couldn't be more happier for a guy that just brought so much to the game, not just on the ice, off the ice, with the fans. Great person. I think people don't understand certain parts of JR. You see the personality, you see the swagger, but he's also a really good friend, and he's there for people when they need him. And he's as good a hockey player is, he's a really good friend to a lot of people, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one tonight. Hockey Hall of Fame, and tomorrow again you got Leaf Sens and Noodles. You'll be down there. Greeny, have you become accustomed yet to seeing Noodles in between the benches for a lot of these games, or what?
I try not to look over and laugh during the game, but it's hard not to.
Making fun of my suits.
It's a little bit too easy to make fun of the suits, but I try not to. But.
Yeah, a lot of black. A lot of black on black.
And gray.
Black and gray.
A lot of simplicity.
Yeah, keep it simple, man. You're not the show. You're there to call the game, Noodles.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a pro's pro. That's all that matters. Well, you'll be down there tomorrow night. It's going to be a fun one. Enjoy it tonight at the Hall, and then the game tomorrow night. We'll do it again down the road. Thank you for this.
Okay, guys. Awesome. Good. Always good talking.
Yep, you too. There's Travis Green, head coach of the Ottawa Senators. Leaf Sens tomorrow night. There you go. Walking down to the Hall tonight. That's
yeah,
great.
I wasn't sure. I mean, you're looking at like Shea Weber, Pavel Datsyuk. Like Datsyuk was ridiculous. Like
some of the highlights have been going viral again.
God,
it is so gross how
the
good
one
he was.
goal. Like everybody talks about the one goal against Marty Turco, but I think the one that was even more disgusting was against Antti Niemi, where he almost attempted to do the same move, and then the goalie bit on it, and then he just hit he had a little chip flick shot that went straight up in the air and over the guy's shoulder. It was the most embarrassed I'd ever see a guy make of a goaltender.
You're talking the shootout one where he makes the guy bite on.
He bites on it, and then he literally has enough patience to flick it up straight up in the air, and it just goes over his shoulder. That's insane.
It is gross.
Man.
So good, man.
He was
so smooth.
But if you look at him, I talked to guys in Detroit over it. He wasn't a big guy, and apparently, like the way he walked, like he had
pigeon toe.
Yeah, he's like kind of knock-kneed. Yeah, you're right. But he'd get out on the ice, and he was ridiculous. Like you think of those teams, the focus is on Lidstrom, rightfully so, Zetterberg, and but like Datsyuk was that ridiculous of a player. Like,
well, that was
and
what was
he a
crazy.
late pick too? Wasn't he? Like,
yeah, yeah, he would have been a 5th or 6th rounder, I think. And Zetterberg, the same thing. Like, I'm pretty sure they were there in 2002, right? Like, did you play against them in the 2002 Cup final? I think they were on the 4th line with like Brett Hall or
they
something.
were.
They played in 2002, 2003. Yeah,
and they were like the kids that everyone was kind of wondering what was going on there.
Yeah,
and that's your depth. Imagine your 4th line is Datsyuk, Zetterberg,
and like Boyd Devereaux was with them or something.
Yeah, that's tough to beat.
You're right. Boyd Devereaux was there. I'm just looking at that team.
Yeah,
and they had that. They were probably 3rd line because wasn't their 4th line Maltby, Draper, and McCarty?
And McCarty. I think they were still cooking in 2002.
That was like that 4th line that was like
the
ridiculous.
Best.
Yeah, because they had a little mix of everything. But Zetterberg, Datsyuk, Larionov, Holmstrom, like just
loaded.
Yeah, a loaded.
Loaded.
Locked and loaded.
Yeah. But he had some because he would play he'd slow the game down.
He's got like Kucherov has a little bit of Datsyuk in him,
Yes.
the way that he plays, very casual, distribute the puck.
But to do that in the National Hockey League,
Dude, he's probably the only guy ever that a coach never said. Like, usually a coach says, don't try that move there. You can't make that play there.
Yeah.
You could never say that to that guy because he could pull off anything, anywhere. There was a clip in Dallas. I don't know if you guys have seen this one. It might have been Brandon Morrow or somebody in the corner where he just went through his feet like 4 or 5 times and the guy just fell backwards on his ass. And it was just humiliating. I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. He did one behind the net, too, where he tapped it off the net twice, and the defender basically said, screw it, just go.
Had enough with
just stop doing this.
Yeah,
Please.
stop doing this.
Yeah, stop doing that. Just take the puck. I'm not even trying to check you anymore. Just go.
Crazy.
Leave me alone. You've already posterized me.
Yeah.
Just take your puck and go and do whatever you're going to do. And
well, everybody going in had, obviously something really special.
Yeah.
Jay Weber, same thing, like bomb of a shot, really well known.
tough as nails.
Mean, didn't want to go
leader,
down his end, his side of the ice.
International success.
Yeah. Pretty much did it all.
Next year, I read the 4 that are going in next year. It's I saw it. I'll find it.
Yeah.
And it's 4 locks.
Just lock? No.
Yeah, it's Chara and I got to go back and find it. I read it over the weekend, but it's a 4-pack of players where you're like, yep, they're going in. Clearly.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a 4-pack of guys that you just have
but even
an understanding of who
there's
they are.
arguments or whatever. Like JR should have been in the Hall earlier. I believe.
agree, but it's been it's been
12 years.
Forever.
Over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Luke Wilson coming up in 15 minutes. Chris Johnston still to come as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050N on the TSN app. Overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Hockey Hall of Fame tonight. Can be awesome downtown. And next year, I referenced that I couldn't remember exactly who was eligible. And let me name off the guys here. Carey Price.
Yeah.
Zdeno Chara.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Joe Thornton.
Yep.
Duncan Keith.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Getzlaf.
Yeah.
You got Tuukka Rask. PK Subban. PK's going to be close. He's not going in next year. But you win a Norris. He played for Canada. He won a gold medal. He's going to be close. But, next year, I'm guessing it'll be Price. Chara and Thornton are locks. Thornton is an absolute lock, and so is Chara, in my opinion. 100%. I think Price is a lock.
I do
So
too.
do I.
I think and I think Duncan Keith is a lock.
I agree.
There's your 4 that are locked. The
There's
rest
your
of them
4.
are going to have to kind of sit on the outskirts
Yeah.
and see.
Getzlaf is close to a lock.
I think that guy.
If it's a softer year, quote unquote, of other, he's going in. I think.
I don't think Subban is personally.
I don't think PK doesn't scream Hall of Fame to me, but he does have a Norris. I don't know. He played for Canada. He's got a resume that puts him
he's
close.
Got a resume. He's got a big personality. He's got, he's very popular. All of that type of stuff. But I don't know. I think he's close, but
I think he's on the outside looking in of close.
Well,
what are his overall? What's the overall body of work stats wise? Is it overwhelming or is
no?
it, I don't even know how the stats
his
work
last
for
couple
defensemen.
Of years, he really dropped off.
Yes.
Right? He ended up moving around. He went to Nashville. He went to
Jersey. Well, he signed that big contract. In his prime. He had a 4 or 5 year run in Montreal, and even his first couple of years in Nashville he was an elite number one defenseman. Like he was when he was dancing in Montreal, he was one of the most entertaining players to watch in the league. He was a blast to watch play. But I think if you have a 4 or 5 year run, that's not going to put you in the Hall of Fame. Like I don't think PK's going to get in. But he had a great career. And he also didn't play a long time. He played 834 games.
Yeah.
So
he won the Norris in the short season, the 42-game season.
He won it in 12-13.
Yeah.
Which was he played 42 games, and it was a lockout year. And yeah.
But
I don't think he's not getting in with the other guys he's competing against next year.
You're right. I think he will always be looked at. And I think he would be considered. I just don't think next year.
You think Tuukka Rask is knocking on the door?
He's close, but I don't. I think with time, Tuukka Rask will be in that conversation for sure.
Kind of this generation's Mike Vernon.
Well, I think I'm on the Chris Osgood. I'm telling you, like Osgood, as time goes by, you'll look back at Chris Osgood and go, why isn't this guy in there? Wins, cups, all that.
Numbers are staggering, yet we just talked about how Datsyuk and Zetterberg were on like the fourth line for his team.
You just nailed it.
Like that's what goes against him. It's like, Chris, great numbers, but look at your team. It's outrageous.
Right. 7 Hall of Famers.
How good they were.
Yeah.
No
Anyway.
matter what you think about it, it's all different. And sometimes you think a guy's a lock, and all of a sudden they get in there. Yeah. Sometimes first time, and you're like, I just didn't see that. Everybody sees it differently, especially the people that are making things happen over there.
That's right.
True.
Yeah. All right, hour 2 coming up. More on the Leafs weekend and how positive it was. What else is going on in the NHL? And Luke coming up in the Monday Nighter tonight. Hazenbro on the clock, which means Al's brother will be lurking, and he will be joining. Hour 2 coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.